Sanibonani, welcome to African Story Magic with me, Gcina Mhlophe, your guide on a journey through the wonders of African storytelling. KwaSulu-Natal. This story happened a long time ago. There was once a beautiful girl called Lungile. She was said to be the most beautiful girl in the land. Old and young people agreed. Men and women agreed. Even children adored her. Lungile was an only child living with her mother. She was always ready to assist around the house. She'd go to fetch water at the river. She'd collect firewood in the forest. But also, there would be times when she went swimming and playing with her friends. Now, Lungile enjoyed going down to the river near her home to swim, and other girls said, "Mina ngihamba no Lungile." And older people watched and they said, "Uyazi ngicabangani, I suspect some of the girls think that if they stay in the water with Lungile long enough, some of her beauty will rub off onto them." That didn't quite happen, but they enjoyed each other's company. And sometimes Lungile would go to collect firewood in the forest with other girls. They would collect firewood and lay it down on ropes that they had plaited of grass, and then they'd put the firewood there and tie it up, and now it was time to play. They would go around in the forest looking for wild berries, amajikijolo. They would enjoy themselves and then look at each other, teasing one another. "Look at your mouth. Oh my goodness, it is purple." And another girl said, "You should talk. Your mouth is pitch black." They laughed at each other like this. And then they noticed that Lungile, the most beautiful girl in the land, was no longer amongst them. They looked around, looked for her until they saw her. She was standing in a clearing, opening her arms out wide, looking up at the sky. And she was making sounds imitating birds. And they said, "What is wrong with her?" They came close to her. "Lungile, what's going on?" She said, "I love birds. Look at them. They can take to the sky and fly so easily. The miracle of flight, and they don't even fall. And look at the colors of their feathers. My, such beauty. And then their music, their songs, they bless my heart." Other girls said, "Sure, they bless your heart." They laughed at her and they said, "She is beautiful, but sometimes we wonder." And they walked away from her, put their firewood on their head, and they walked home. And Lungile didn't care how many times they laughed at her. She loved birds with all her heart. And every single time she went to the forest or went out somewhere where there were many birds, she always stopped, looked at them, opened her arms, and imitated their flight with her arms as if they were wings. And then she would whistle, imitating some of the birds. Oh, they laughed at her. "What is the story with Lungile?" She didn't care at all. And over time, it seemed as if somebody stood up on a hill, and blew a cow's horn, announcing that Lungile was ready to get married, because men came from far and wide to ask for a hand in marriage. One man came. He looked rich, I tell you. He had so many servants following him, carrying heavy loads of gifts for Lungile's family. And he was wearing the most beautiful clothes, and he was walking slowly, as if it was difficult even to walk. He was so rich. Slowly, and neighbors watched from their homes. Others stood at the doors with envy. They were thinking, "I wish that was my daughter. I would allow that man to marry my daughter." Lungile allowed this man to come home, and the family settled down, very impressed by him and all the gifts he brought with all his servants. Lungile listened to all he had to say. The parents listened, and Lungile shook her head, and she said, "No, not this one." And the man had to leave. His head was bowed, his shoulders were drooping. The next guy who came, oh my goodness, the next one who came, he was so good looking. Everybody was thinking, Oh, we understand. She was waiting for somebody who's as equally good looking as she is. Other girls saying, I'm feeling weak at the knees. Oh, he wouldn't have to say one to me. I would just say two. They were so envious. Lungile listened to all he had to say. When he was done and the parents were looking and the mother was smiling, Lungile said, no, not this one. He left. His head was bowed, shoulders were drooping. And the next time another man came, this one was kind. He was gentle. He was special. There was something unique about him. He came to Lungile's home and the mother looked at him. This is promising. He said he would love Lungile with all his heart, all the days of his life. She would be his sun and his moon. He would give her everything she wanted. She wouldn't touch a stitch of work. The mother was nodding her head and agreeing, but Lungile shook her head. She said, no, not this one. So the man left. His head was bowed, shoulders were drooping. Men came day after day, and other girls said, come on, choose somebody, because they all get tired of asking you. You wouldn't know what to do. Well, Lungile's father had had enough. Lungile, was hlala phansi, sit down. What exactly are you looking for in a man? Give us a clue. Maybe we can assist. All of these men who have come in and out of this house, you haven't spotted even one you like? No, Baba, I haven't seen anybody that I like. It's just that the man of my dreams, he came in a dream and he told me that he would send a bird when he's ready to marry me. You want to tell us now that you speak bird language? Lungile said, no, Baba, I don't speak bird language, but I think I'll just know when the time is right. The man was confused, but the mother said, Baba, let her wait for the bird husband of hers. Thank goodness for mothers. But the father stormed out of the hut. He said, I'll never understand women in this lifetime. Lungile stayed at home. The man got tired of asking, and the other girls got married one after another. They got married, all the girls of her age group, until she was the only one still left unmarried. People started laughing at her. They started composing wedding songs about Lungile. Others were saying she will be waiting and waiting until a clumsy old bird like a ground hornbill came and wanted to marry her. And together, the only conversation would be voodoo, 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 voodoo. No matter how many times people laughed, Lungile continued sitting at home, working, learning new skills, how to make grass mats and beads, bracelets, you name it. She could learn to do it from the old women who sat in a big round hut. Well, early one morning, she was still fast asleep when a bird called Jobela, with a long tail, it flew in through the window and started singing, Lungile, sheshisa, umyeni wakho kulindile, etamini, wozalungile, wozalungile. She got out of bed. She made sure her hair looked nice, put on one of her beautiful beaded necklaces. She rushed out, imitating the words of the song. The man of your dreams is waiting at the lake, the song said. Lungile saw he was standing there, every bit as special looking as she had hoped he would be. He was surrounded by hundreds upon hundreds of birds of all types and shapes and colors and sizes. And when they saw her, the man turned around and looked at Lungile and he rushed to meet her. And then he wrapped her up in his arms. And when they started embracing like that, every single one of those birds rose up into the sky as if there was a colorful cloud of birds. It was a marvelous sight in the morning light as the sun was rising. Well, they each dropped a feather. It was raining a colorful rain of feathers. The old women who used to sit in the big round hut, they ululated. Ulungile uyashada namhlanje, phumani nibone naneni nomona. Well, the man of her dreams had arrived. She went home and he was welcomed by the family. They had feast upon feast while they were preparing the most exquisite wedding dress ever seen, made with all those feathers that were falling when the birds were welcoming Lungile and her man. And that's how she got married. People came from far and wide to see for themselves that Lungile, the most beautiful girl in the land, was finally getting married to the man of her dreams and their children. They would play with birds, share the food, and learn happy new songs every single day. That's where I rest my story. Share the magic with others. Find more stories in English and isiZulu on ecr.co.za under podcasts. Until next time, stay magical. I'm Gcina Mhlophe.